All right, hit me with the campfire. We're gonna go watch Diablo. For my folks that don't know what's going on, Diablo made a update the other day. All right, and people are saying it is the worst update ever. Now, I have not played Diablo that much. I mean, I've played it enough to get to like almost level 100 this past season, but I haven't played it. I haven't played Diablo, the previous Diablo games, 1, 2, or 3. So I don't really have a point of reference here, but everyone is saying that it is the worst update ever. Some people even going as far to say that this patch has killed the game. So the Diablo team here is essentially having this interview / campfire meeting to talk about this update and their perspective.
Hello, Diablo community. Welcome to another Diablo 4 campfire chat. My name is Adam Fletcher. I am the Associate Director of Community here for Diablo. I'm joined here by Joe Shelley, Game Director of Diablo 4, and Mr. Joe Pipora, the Associate Game Director for Diablo 4. We have a lot to talk about today. Obviously, we have this campfire chat because we do want to talk about the patch that just released this past week, which is patch 1.10. We've seen a ton of feedback. We've heard a lot of feedback. And so we do want to go through a lot of the points of feedback that we've been hearing and at the same time, the patch itself. We want to, obviously acknowledge everyone's feedback in regards to reducing player power. We know it is bad. We know it is not fun. We do want to also talk about how we don't plan on doing a patch like this ever again. We have most definitely heard the feedback from the players on that front.
So I want to talk about our mission statement for the live game. So there are four parts to this. We're going to start with the first part. We want the live game to always have a wide variety of viable builds to discover, to put together, to acquire the item.
Dude, you guys, Diablo community, y'all got these devs shook. Y'all know that? What have y'all done over the past week? I haven't even been playing Diablo right now. We've been tied up with Destiny and Bungie stuff, but y'all got these guys shook. Y'all got them breaking out the pillars.
How do we make sure that the next time we do a patch, this doesn't happen, right? Yep. And so I want to talk about a change that we're making that will help us avoid this situation. So I think we have a slide for this. When we make, and this goes, again, this is right along what you were saying here.
Dude, what have y'all done? Y'all got all these points going up right now. I mean, what have y'all done? Bad update equals pissed off players.
The start of a season is an especially good time for meta changes to happen because there's a big refresh, everyone is rolling new characters, and there's new seasonal content. And the third point here, there are certain situations, we saw a case where we had a skill that could do 10 to the 37 damage. In cases like that where the damage is literally breaking the game.
Dude, man, there's been some wild damage, like in the billions, right?
We will still react to those situations, but that doesn't change the first
or
point
trillions
in terms of allowing builds to be overpowered.
It was nuts, Jay. A lot of zeros.
And we need to make sure that we aren't trying to punish players for doing that. Because ultimately that's the playground we built. That's we built the game that's like, go find crazy stuff. And we need to make sure that when players take that invitation, that
tell the kids to go find crazy stuff at the playground, and one of them pulls out a fucking 9.
We have ultimate visions for something that is further down the line, and doing that all together at once during those moments, as opposed to doing them over time and whatnot, just leads to a better experience overall for players, and that's something that we most definitely.
If you're gonna get fucked hard, at least let it just be done once. Don't drag it out. I agree.
How we communicate to players, and there is been a lot lot of feedback.
Get it all done in one go.
It would have been great if we knew some of these changes were coming down the pipe, and it's a hefty amount of patch notes. We could have digested this over a few days beforehand or a week beforehand. So one thing we do want to commit to right now is that we do plan on going forward always providing patch notes and communicating these patch notes through streams like this, through Campfire chats or developer update live streams.
Look, Blizzard, let me just go ahead and give you the best advice I can give you on this front. You need to do what Bungie does. You disclose the good patch notes a week before they go out, okay? You conveniently leave out the nerfs, and then the day of the patch notes, at the very, 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 very bottom, you include the nerfs. You do it like that, you're good, man. Half the people won't even know what happened.
We will be back on here to kind of go through the whole entire patch notes with everyone beforehand, so everyone has a better expectation of what they're going to be seeing in the actual update, and they can talk to us through.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, Blizzard. I mean, you do your thing, man. I wouldn't do it.
Our forums, etc., beforehand, before the actual patch hits.
I wouldn't do it.
We need more stash help now, right? And so in 1.1.1, we're going to be adding an additional stash tab for players so they can store more aspects, more Malignant Hearts.
Yeah, this has been like an ongoing conversation every week inside the dev team of like, do we feel that we're ready to do this yet? Do we feel that we're ready to do this yet? Like the density conversation and the stash tab conversation, like the engineering team's been working really, really hard to be able to like make these adjustments pop.
One fucking tab, that's all you get, chat. That's all you get. And be thankful for even that. You know, if it was me, if I worked at Blizzard, I would have actually taken away stash. Talk shit more, take away another page of your stash.
There's been questions related to respecs and how that has been pretty expensive on people's like their own personal economies with gold and so forth. I know we have respec changes that are also coming with the game itself. You guys probably know more specifics on the
When they're making it cheaper?
Yeah, I mean, this really goes back. Joe was talking about our commitment to choice earlier, and it also, but I think it also goes back to, you know, when we say in the mission statement we want to have a wide variety of viable builds. Great, but if you can't switch between those builds, then it still feels punishing, right? So we're going to bring respec costs down by about 40%, quite a bit.
Cool. Yeah, so it should help out with people that want to switch over to a different build and so forth.
We want to be able to save
or,
loadouts.
They do have to adjust over to another build. They get the option of actually being able to do so, or have an easier option of being.
I mean, 40% is nice, so you won't be completely broke. That's a good nerf, right?
Yeah, I mean, the short version is we want to make leveling from 50 to 100 faster by adjusting XP.
So the original intent for that was we found players basically sitting at like fighting creatures like 3 levels above them and never felt like they were really challenging themselves beyond that. We wanted to stretch that out a bit further, but that went from, you know, a 25% bonus to a 15% bonus. I read a lot of feedback, like afterwards in particular, that just made it sound like people thought that we were just trying to make the game take longer, which wasn't actually the goal, but realized that the 25% to 15% change did constitute a nerf. As a result, that is the thing that we're thinking about as well.
That's what I thought.
We are not trying to slow down the game.
That's a lie. It's 25 to 4.5. You have to fight 10 levels above for 15.
It's never been
really
the goal. Like we are making changes in this regard to kind of bring this down a bit. Yeah.
And I mean, you've seen certainly we did things like increase the XP bonus for Nightmare Dungeons a while back quite substantially.
Yeah, and Whisper Completion and Helltide Count.
Right.
That was nice.
Now,
Uber Uniques, what's the future? They mathematically don't exist, so I don't think it's a good waste of resources of them anymore.
Yeah, it's a good question. So, you know, Uber Uniques are designed such a way that they are a huge spike of power, and as such are not expected to be part of builds necessarily. One of our goals underlying is we don't want players to feel that one of these are mandatory that you must find in an effort to bring your build online. We want players to find these, but we don't want them to expect to find these, you know, which is a difficult place to balance in terms of drop rates when you're thinking about these. Now, right now, I believe that they are exceedingly rare, and we do want them to feel very, very rare. But I suspect that as we start moving into future seasons, we do want to find more ways for players, or more opportunities for players to get chances at these.
For those wondering about Uber Uniques, guys, no, it's nowhere near on the scaling of like a Destiny or Exotic. It's beyond that. It's like a handful of people in the entire world have gotten these drops. I mean, you have a likelier chance of winning the lottery than you do of getting one of these Uber Uniques. Some of them are incredibly powerful. It is the say-all, end-all in that slot for whatever that Uber Unique drops at. But they're also extremely rare. They're not that good? Dushaka, what? Are we not? What are you talking about? +4 in everything?
Are there any plans for some changes for experience between, say, level 75 to 100? This is actually something that we just commented on, but the journey feels a bit dull. There are several events, but only Nightmare Dungeons to provide challenge. World bosses, Helltides, and Whispers are
Dude, yeah.
a good idea, but
I got
too
bored.
easy.
I got for real bored.
Yeah, there's so we talked about, so I guess there's two real parts of this. Like, so the answer is yes, we are going to be looking at making changes to that, and we'll talk about more about that soon. And then secondly, do we feel that there are the right number of like milestones for players to engage with, enough goals to kind of like consume while you're also just leveling up, and enough content to kind of do as you're leveling up in these world tiers? And I think that the answer is no. That we know that there's more things that we need to add to the game, particularly for World Tier 4.
What are your plans to adjust loot drops? This, I'm going to add on to his question after I read it. It feels very frustrating to grind for days without ever seeing anything close to an upgrade or finding the right aspect. Even worse, when you finally do it and it's a terrible roll. Slightly, I'm also going to modify that and mention target farming. Which has also been a topic within the community.
We kind of have that because based on drops from certain ads.
So I think there's a couple parts of this as well, right? There's the idea of I grind for a long time to get an item, and the item is not an upgrade. There's a couple things. One, we know we want to try to reduce the difficulty of like kind of comparing and looking at a number of different items all at once and trying to get a better sense of that. These are things that the UI team is very passionate about. Conversations are ongoing in terms of how we want to achieve
aspects.
that.
I got you.
Like things like loot filters, object things
that
like that.
That is true. That is annoying.
We do have plans in season 2 right now to have more content you can try to target farm in order to find certain unique items. And I think there's a natural extension of that to figure out like what's the right way for players to be able to find an easier method of getting into some of the aspects they might be looking for as they're progressing through. So that is something that the rewards and systems teams will be thinking about and hopefully we'll talk about soon on stream.
By the way, I also think this is really veering off in the wrong area. I personally don't mind the grind. Like, I'm not sitting there saying, yo, make my life easier, make my build easier to achieve. Yeah, there are some quality of life things that they could do. I want to enjoy just the grind itself. You know, running nightmare dungeons, although they're fun, right? Dude, there's just nothing. Like past level 70, I was like, there's really, okay, you do a world boss, you do some hell ties, but hell ties literally consist of me just running around everywhere. You got nightmare dungeons. And man, it gets old doing nightmare dungeons over and over. We desperately need something that is engaging enough where you don't even care hardly like what your level is or even what the XP gains are. You're just enjoying playing that. Diablo isn't an MMO. Okay, I guess I'm the wrong person to be playing their game. So, but let me back up right here. When I say an MMO, you know, I hate to even throw Genshin into this conversation. Genshin actually has some pretty cool in-game content that I would go back to often to play. What's the tower, guys, where you progress in the tower? The Spiral Abyss. Could Spiral Abyss not work for Diablo? I'm just asking. Could it not work? Minus the waifus, I feel like Spiral Abyss would actually work for Diablo. Somebody banned that. Who was that? Merit guy? What were you like sitting around calling everybody old? The fuck? You just come out your mother's womb yesterday? Yes, there are older professionals around here, but they're still gamers. Who fucking cares what people's ages are? Why can't Bungie do this? Well, they used to do meetings like this a while back, and then a lot of people called them shit a lot.
Of course.
No, it wasn't a death threat. No, okay. What happened with Bungie, and a huge reason why Bungie stopped doing live streams, they live streamed themselves playing the game. And let's just be real, some of the people that work at Bungie are not good at video games, especially a first-person shooter. Now, this does not mean they're not good developers. They obviously have a job there for a reason. They're probably fantastic developers. But we saw some of the devs at Bungie not hit shit. Like literally couldn't hit anything. And that's okay. That's all right. Normal people be like, okay, that's fine. But Destiny community is like, these guys are so ass. And it literally made them stop doing that. That was it. I think after that, they never did it again. I don't think they ever did another live stream again. They definitely never showed them playing the game again. All right, listen, let me just say this. At least they talk to you guys. You know what I mean? Look, I would say like I'm just a person that comes and dabbles in Diablo from time to time. I'm not in the thick of it. What I got from this was, hey, we're not going to do all the nerfs in one patch. And this is where I feel like, Blizzard, you can actually take some notes here from Bungie. You got to sprinkle the good with the bad. You actually want to separate it out weeks in advance. So every now and then Bungie will put out a TWAB, or I guess it's called a TWID now, which is their weekly blog, right? And they'll put it out many weeks in advance, and it'll just be a random TWAB TWID that's like, yo, these are some of the nerfs that are about to hit. And they do this purposely. So they hit you with the bad news first. They're like, all right, these are some of the nerfs that are going to be hitting soon. Some of your favorite stuff is about to get wrecked. And then the next week, they hit you with the buffs. They're like, hey, but here's some buffs, right? And then the patch rolls around and rolls out. People have actually forgotten the nerfs a little bit. And so by the time the patch notes are in front of you, a lot of people just remember the buffs. And some people think they've already know everything, like there's nothing else included. So they just go play the game. Talk about the nerfs weeks in advance before it happens. Talk about the buffs the week leading up to the patch. Drop the patch notes, put the buffs at the top of the list, put the nerfs at the bottom of the list, and at the very, very bottom, like past UI updates, past localization updates, when you get into like all the little stuff, all the language updates, you know, whatever bullshit you can put in there. At the very bottom, put the worst patch notes there. The nerf, the shit that just sucks. The worst thing you can imagine. The stuff you know everyone would be so pissed about. It needs to go at the bottom. Trying to obviously hide that stuff just makes people angrier. Raz, let me tell you something, man. To run a live service game effectively, you have to just get used to putting out patch notes that are just going to make people angry. But look, all jokes aside, I do have to question the reason behind these changes. Like Bungie makes changes because they want the game, they want a balanced PvE and PvP environment because there's raid competitions. There's world's first raids. We also have PvP. So they make changes inside of Destiny to balance both of those sides of the game because it's an MMO and there's competition on both sides. With you having to start a new character every season for Diablo, I feel like having super potent shit, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Yes, you can go back to the Eternal Realm with that super potent shit, but unless their data is showing like 50% of their player base are sorcerers or something. But I felt like every class, rogue, you know, necro, sorcerer, druid, I mean, I felt like every class had a build that was super potent. You know, the XP drops, I see why people are upset with that. At the same time, I just want something more fun. And maybe the seasonal content, you know, I mean, we haven't exactly jumped into all the seasonal stuff, so maybe the seasonal stuff has more fun stuff. I had actually started to like chill out on Diablo. Diablo, dude, we lost ourselves to Diablo there for a good month. I was very much enjoying the game. It seemed like a ladder that we just kept climbing. And it was like, all right, well, we got up to, you know, we didn't get up to like tier 100 Nightmare Dungeons, but you know, we were tier 60 and plus. But I mean, like, I know that's not like the end game, but the difference is, it's like there was really no major difference other than artificial difficulty being enhanced from tier 60 to 100. About the only thing I didn't do that I wish I would have done was defeat Uber Lilith. So yeah, there's like a piece of me that's like, okay, there's like that one aspect of the game we didn't beat. I'm just gonna say pretty much the moment I got to roll tier 4, the game became boring. And it's nothing against Blizzard. It's nothing against these patch notes. You know, some people be like, yo, he quit because of the patch notes. No, the content wasn't keeping me, man.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.